Good morning, and we are live from Skye, and with me on his way up from the south of England to the Heelan is Chris MacPherson. Chris, how are you doing? Great to see you.
Yeah, really good, thanks, Lilia. How are you?
I am absolutely on top form, just having an absolute bloody ball up here. I love it.
Amazing.
It really, really is. It's such a special, I just feel blessed. Every day I kind of look out and I'm like, how did you land here? Yeah, I can't wait.
You found yourself in a good spot.
Anyway. I'm saying you know Skye pretty well anyway. You've run up here before, haven't you?
Yes, yeah, I love it. It's an amazing place. It's like, it's just, there's nothing like it, I don't think. In the UK, like the mountains are just completely different from anywhere else. And the energy of the place, like it's the perfect place to do this. Even though it's quite far away, that's the kind of the main issue people are finding is getting there. But actually, it's not actually that difficult to get there, is it? Because you can get a bus from Glasgow or from Inverness down either way. So because I've got people coming up from England that are flying into Inverness and they're travelling down. So yeah,
quite a few people have done that. I've actually been really touched and maybe a little bit surprised at how many people are coming and coming back. Because the land, the thing about Skye is there's no other island you could do this on because you could not rely on Scottish ferries. Simple as that. Whereas here, much as the bridge has brought its own issues for the islanders, it's absolutely a game changer for running something like this in January and February because the high winds obviously puts the ferries off, and then if the ferries break down and all the yada stuff that goes with our Scottish ferry story. Anyway, so you've got good numbers already, but we have got a couple of spaces left for your retreat. What we're finding is we've attracted quite a lot of locals, which is great. So we need to really talk more to them as well, because they can come and join in either for, the weekend or for, some of the classes that you've got. And I'll just pop the link on into this for people to have a look and see all the different things that you're going to be doing, because I'd like you to talk about that. So tell us about the yoga, the Scottish yoga.
Yes. So this is technically it's Celtic yoga, but then it's not. Technically, it's not, because yoga is just like yoga. Actually, what yoga actually means, so on the base term, is unity, right? So it's unity, and you can look at that in many different aspects. But like, without going off on too much of a tangent just now, unity of the heart and the mind, really. So the mental aspect and the emotional intelligence of the body, combining those two, because often it's very separate. So if our mind is separate from our heart, we're going to have mental health issues. We're going to have dysfunctions in the brain and other issues. Likewise, if our heart is not, coherent with our mind, then things are going to be out of alignment. So yoga is really about bringing that together. And obviously, most people think of yoga actually as stretching. That's just asanas, which is a small part of yoga. And people think of India when they talk about yoga as well. But actually, yoga is a worldwide thing, or some there's always been a movement practice in every culture, and like in our culture, so Scotland, the UK, especially the islands and the Irish as well, there's a lot of history there that is still available to find. A lot of the history is kind of harder to find around the world, but you can look at all the different places around the world and see different forms of movement, yoga, dance, and all this stuff. But the really unique thing that I love about this sort of Celtic yoga and what they've looked at is it was predominantly practiced in nature, or at least, in a place like somewhere like Skye, where you've got the energy there of the natural environment around you. So like, it's very different from yoga that you do in a city. That you go to a yoga studio in a city and it's nice. You can have some nice plants and some oils diffusing. That's fantastic. You can do some stretching. That could be really good for the body on a physical level. But the asanas on a physical level are only a really small part of the puzzle. We really need to look at the holistic aspect of yoga. So we're looking at the breath, we're looking at the body, we're looking at the mind, the mindset, the mental aspect of the meditation, and we're looking at like combining that with nature, because human beings at the end of the day, as you know, Lilia, are part of nature. So we need to be connected to that. I'm really excited to do this, and share this on Sky. I was going to say as well, Lilia, if you want, I potentially could do a live session on maybe Wednesday this week. I'm doing a live session anyway, so I could potentially stream that for people on either on Heal Scotland or in some way, if you want me to do that, to give people a little taster of some of the stuff. It's like a 30-minute class I'll be doing, but it's a little taster of what we'll be doing at the weekend. So
sounds great. I mean, that'd be amazing. I think the more people can understand, because that's the whole thing, isn't it? This is a big part of the Heal Scotland mission, is to educate people on all the things that are available. Because especially if you're not feeling 100%, and let's face it, there's not very many people that are these days, it's a minefield, and you're trying to, so to be able to see something or watch it and you're like, right, okay, that's what that feels for me, because we're really getting attracted, aren't we, on the frequency of the thing now. I think that's becoming more and more obvious. So I think these little videos, Helen did that one in the fascia last night. I don't know if you saw it with the scarf, and it's just had thousands of hits because people can look at it and go, right. Nice. She just tightened the scarf, as all the wee traumatic things and the bigger traumatic things happen, and the fascia just gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and then before you know it, aches and pains everywhere. So I think that would be super helpful.
Yeah, no, that sounds really good. I haven't seen it actually, because I've been traveling, making our way up north slowly but surely. But the fascia is really interesting actually. I won't go off on a tangent too much, but I can imagine what she's maybe referring to a little bit there. But it's definitely an important part of running as well, as the fascia, and how that sort of sheath around the body actually connects everything together and holds our body together and makes it work. And one of the most common issues I see in runners actually, and where they're finding it really hard and a lot of effort to run, is because their fascia is not correctly conditioned, or there's some kind of dysfunction within the fascial system. And we can really quickly, the great news is we can really quickly remedy that with a few exercises, and over a period of just like, some people it'll take like minutes, some people it might take a bit longer, depending on how long they've been kind of operating in this dysfunction for. But within a certain period of time, it might be a few weeks, it might be a little bit longer, they're going to see such a dramatic improvement. And what a good point you made there as well, about how not everybody is actually feeling 100%. So it's easy to forget this sometimes when you're, if you're like feeling really good and you're practicing, like I try to practice what I preach as much as I can. So I'm doing daily yoga, I'm running most days, I'm getting out in nature, I'm eating well, I'm doing all this stuff as much as I can to try and practice what I preach. So I generally feel pretty good most of the time. And it's easy to forget that. It's only when I'm like doing a coaching session with somebody and they start talking about some of the issues they're having, I'm like, oh yeah, these are, people are struggling with this stuff still. So it's like you say, people coming in, I mean, it must be amazing what you're seeing there, because all sorts of different stuff going on up there at the Heal Inn, which I've seen on like the socials and stuff. And it's just amazing when somebody comes into one of these spaces and like, sometimes they just need to connect. And then, the different modalities, the breath, I've seen that you had the Wim Hof method one there, John's amazing food, there's just so much going on, which is just so coherent to getting our body and mind into a healthy state and making us feel amazing. So I'm super excited to get up there.
Yeah, I know. And I think for me, especially the fasting one, because it was only really, we started on the Monday night, we had dinner at 5 and then we fasted after that. So we had all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, and they wait again at 10 o'clock on the Thursday. So it's not like a marathon fasting session, but see the difference in people. It was, even I was quite like, wow, the empowerment. And there's definitely, I would like to take all the credit, that this place, as you know, it's just jaw-dropping. The power of the island, I've always said that, there's something magical about islands. I don't know what's the sea goes round about and the energy gets cleared or whatever. I don't know, but there's just something. I felt the same in Malta. I just absolutely love them. And because we have the bridge here, it means we can access it regardless. And we've had some gnarly weather. We've been really icy the first week we were here. So really, you couldn't go anywhere. But just looking out, it was just like your heart is just like, it's just absolutely jaw-dropping. Of course, we've had wind here for a week. Even this morning, it was quite wild. But you're on the mountains. That's how it works, isn't it? But I think all of that and is going to make this such a special, special place. And you know, if you are lucky enough, and I say this to everybody that comes, you know, you're lucky enough, you're well enough to get here. You know, nobody's even complaining about the bus because it's so dramatically beautiful to drive through these, you know, these spectacular areas, and obviously then just coming together, and there's just a real special feeling about this place, that this is the start of something really, really huge. You know, I certainly know from the Heal Scotland perspective, we're like, yeah, that's why I'm so passionate about what you teach, because, you know, I like free stuff. Once people can learn how to run the way you advocate, or jog, and you know, I've discussed this a lot, you know, the word run can put people off jogging, or it doesn't, regardless of how fit you are, to learn how to do that. Because even if you wanted just to start doing some kind of aerobic exercise that was maybe just going to be a few hundred meters, you could stop and start and do some interval training, like just with that. It's not about fitness, is it? It's absolutely 100% about understanding the technique and the integrity and the, you know, all of that of the body, and it's fun. And you know how I also like fun stuff, and free stuff are my two favorite things. So I really recommend it, you know. And I know that people that went at the festival, because I'd kind of said, look, come and try this, you know, you need to try it before you buy it. And then everybody's like, my God, I so enjoyed that. I wouldn't have gone to that if you hadn't said. And that's really the thing, isn't it? It's like getting to try these things and then realizing, oh, and so then once you kind of master your technique, it's free. And you can go into the mountains if you want, or you can just go on a treadmill if you want. You know, it's, you can take it to whatever your lifestyle and your living conditions at the moment are. And so it's just so versatile. It's so practical. Obviously, you're looking at getting all the benefits of cardio without any of the benefits of, you know, hurting your joints, the non-benefits of hurting your joints, which can be a thing, especially like you get older. You start to feel your knees, you start to feel your ankles, you notice bits of your body that you just took for granted. So, yeah. And obviously you are, you know, I know you don't like talking about what an amazing athlete you are, but you are. So you walk the walk and you win races. So you know what you're talking about.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you could look at that. It's an interesting one, that, because yeah, I love racing, and I haven't actually raced since September. I've had a break from it, just as a bit of an experiment for myself. Just I'm having a little check with myself, and just making sure that it's not like an ego thing when it's, you know, winning races and stuff like that. And I think running can easily become that, and that's okay. I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, I don't think necessarily the ego is always a bad thing, as it sometimes is made out to be. But as long as you have that awareness around what you're doing and why you're doing it. But yeah, it's great fun. Like you say, it's great fun. It's even more fun when you can like go, and you don't have to win a race, but even for many people, it's just completing a race run. Sometimes some people want to do ultras, ultra marathons, crazy events and stuff. And it's the sense of achievement, and it's the sense of being able to set yourself a goal and complete that. And then what that does to your mental resilience and your emotional well-being, and all these benefits that can come from that. So that's why many people get the running bug, don't they? And they get hooked on it. But yeah, like, it's the interesting thing is people that are already really good runners, even elite runners, can still learn something as well, because there's always an extra edge of performance there. And not just that, a lot of the people that I sometimes race with, like, it's interesting to see how hard sometimes they're. If you see me at most races, most of the photos, if you look through my race pictures and stuff, I'm smiling in almost every photo, and it's not a fake smile. I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun. It can be quite intense sometimes, and it's like, but you can embrace that suffering. But I'm trying to flow. You know, this is the whole point. I'm trying to flow when I'm doing a race. So even when I'm like pushing it to the limit,
yes,
I'm embracing this level of like, this is not damaging my body. This is actually healthy. You know, because that's an important aspect. And I see many other runners, athletes who they burn themselves out after a few months or a few years. They can do really well for a while, and then they get injured, and then that's them done. You know, and then they have to move to cycling or something else. So one of my key things, as you kind of alluded to there as well, is the longevity aspect. So it's really important to, like, running actually keeps your joints healthy. Running and impact. The body loves tension. It loves impact. The joints, they need that for strength. The bones will become more dense and more strong if you do an impact sport. There's studies being done on cyclists, and you look at cyclists or swimmers, and their bone density can actually go down. I'm not saying it's a bad sport. Cycling and swimming can be healthy as part of.
No, but you're not getting the impact. The bones aren't getting the information. Yeah.
Exactly. And what is the ancient transport system that humans have used? It's been walking and running. It's weight bearing exercise. So as you said, like, we don't have to go out and start, like, this is the thing with this retreat. I'm trying to make this really important for people to understand. This is for all ability levels. Even if you've never ran a step in your life, you can come and you can learn a lot from this, because you don't have to run at the retreat. You can just walk to begin with. But understanding some of the exercises and some of the techniques, and how when we begin walking and we start to walk faster, and we walk faster, at a certain point, there's a key point where we should stop walking, we should start running, because that's what the body is actually designed to do. If we try to power walk, that's going to potentially cause you problems in your body, because that's not really a natural movement exercise. Power walking up a hill is different. That's okay. Like power hiking, that can be okay. That can be healthy. So yeah, like, even somebody who's, like, never ran a step in their life, even though they probably have when they were a child, they've just forgotten how to. So that's very easy to, like, we've got the muscle memory there, so it's very easy to bring that back in. All the way up to somebody who is, like, winning marathons, winning ultras, elite runners. They could potentially either improve even better with a little bit of coaching, or they could prevent themselves from having some serious problems further down the road. So that's, like, two of the key things that I'm really passionate about, is helping somebody, feel the joy of running and feel like, this is great, I'm actually enjoying this. Which to many people might sound like an alien concept. There's many runners who just think running is like this suffer fest, but actually you can make it that if you want, if that's what you want to do. But I prefer to have fun doing it. So yeah.
Look at all the park runners now. Because I was saying that, do you do park runs? Come and learn this way, because you're going to beat your PB, and I think the park run's got to be one of the most genius things that's happened, isn't it? And people are going all over and doing park runs. There's a huge social aspect, outdoor aspect. It ticks all the Heal Scotland boxes that we absolutely love. And there'll be a lot of people there that maybe, could get injured, or, maybe are not running in a way that's going to really help their bone density the maximum amount, and, utilising the amount of energy and effort. But just this new technique, it's just really cool to do things that are new as well.
Yeah, exactly. And like you say, the park runs, they're very popular, especially for, like, what we would say is somebody who just, runs a couple of times a week. But yes, even a couple of exercises that I share on my free challenges that I do. That's one of the most common things. People, they do their park run after a week of doing these exercises, and they're knocking like 2 or 3 minutes off their park run. And they're like, whoa, what's going on here? Just because it's a simple technique change. It's just a case of, like, and I suppose people may be asking the question, why, what's wrong with my technique? Why, like, if running is a natural form of exercise that we've done for, many thousands, hundreds of thousands of years as a human species, depending on what evolution theory you believe, but we've certainly done it for a long time, and we can naturally do it. If you watch a kid, you watch a baby turn into a toddler and then, crawl, walk, and then eventually run, you'll watch their technique is very natural and very efficient and effortless and fun, actually. Then they get to a point where they kind of get a little bit competitive in themselves, or excited, and they kind of run. It's like a sprint, isn't it? Because they learn they have to run really fast, and then they sprint, and it's a case of just they need to try and, like, find that pace where they can manage it for a longer duration, which becomes an endurance sport then instead of like sprinting. But it's a very natural thing that we can do. But many things get in the way of that, including, like, too much time sitting in chairs. Without chairs are not the end of the world. We can use them, but we need to just put things in place so that we are having, not just regular breaks, but certain exercises and practices that are getting our body back through a full range of motion. So obviously I'll be covering all that in the weekend. We'll be doing so you asked about the yoga earlier, just to kind of give people more of an idea here. We'll be doing like a preparatory yoga to begin with, and that's going to do a lot of unwinding, actually. So people that have been traveling to get there, they've maybe been sat for a little while. I'll have been sat for a little while because I'm traveling up there, so it'll be good for me too. Which is another reason why I love teaching yoga, because it's a bit of a selfish thing as well. I get the benefits too, so it's like, yeah, we'll unwind a lot of that sitting action, which actually people can go away with and go back to their normal daily lives and be like, right, so I've got an office job, or I spend a little bit of time sitting in chairs. What can I do to get up and move in a way that's going to actually reset the spine, reset the pelvis, get everything back into like a really optimal function again, so that we don't end up, you know, putting our back out when we lift up a pillow, or when we, you know, like start trying to run and all of a sudden our Achilles are sore because our ankles have reduced the dorsiflexion range because of the amount of time we've been sat, or tight hamstrings, all these things. We can unwind that pretty quickly. And that's what we'll be doing initially. And then, you know, each morning we've got like a specific yoga session. I'm planning on doing a Tibetan yoga, Tibetan type of yoga, which is said to be about, you know, a couple of thousand years old as far as like the history goes. So this is one that's been practiced pretty consistently and has pretty good results for not just for running, but I love it because it does help with running, because it's a full body exercise. It gets all the right muscles activated and it helps to mobilize us in the right way, but it actually does something on an energetic level as well. So it's really powerful for like balancing our energy and getting us into a really high vibrational state. So when we combine that with breath work, which as you know is amazing as well, we're going to do like certain pranayama techniques, which are again going to get us really energized and ready to go for a walk or a run or whatever people want to do, because there's going to be options there to do that. And at the same time, it's going to actually improve our breathing mechanics. So our posture becomes better, our running technique becomes better through the technique workshops, and our breathing becomes better through the breathwork practices. Once we get a little bit of meditation in there as well to get our mindset in the right place, you're just going to find it so much fun. And then going away from this afterwards, I think, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, Lilia, but I just had this thought at one point, like I need to give something to people to be able to keep this stuff going afterwards. So I'm offering 3 months off, if people want it, 3 months of the free Thriving membership, so they can join my online classes. I do 4 or 5 classes a week, and they can have that for free for 3 months, so that they continue to integrate the practices that I'm teaching at the weekend, moving forward. You know, and then it gives them the opportunity then to just.
And that's a great idea.
Because I don't want people to like come and then have like kind of. I'm not going to be information overload, but we're going to cover quite a few different modalities and areas. So I want them to have the ability to go away and be like, oh, I can't quite remember that Tibetan routine or whatever. So they'll have an opportunity to try that again. So that's a kind of bonus that I've just thrown in for people to use. And it's, to me, it sits better with me to know that I'm then giving them a little bit of something to keep practicing as they go away from the weekend.
The support, the after support, I think, because it's something I've been thinking about. I know Kaz does that. You get a year-long, you know, kind of, so because we're all the same. We just need kept on track, checking in, keeping in contact with the other people that do the retreat, because that's been a big thing. Everybody's kind of keeping each other buzzed up. Somebody's asking a question here, Chris. I'm giving Couch to 5K a go on week 3, and my knee is giving me niggly pain. Do you think I should keep going?
The problem with Couch to 5K is I like the most days.
You're freezing a wee bit there. I'm not really hearing. Sorry. Can you say that again?
I'll do a walk run, especially as part of the warm up, which I'll cover obviously at the weekend in more detail. Oh, yes. So what I don't like about it is it's quite rigid in the terms of how it tells you to like run for a minute and then stop for a minute and then run for a minute, stop for a minute. Are you still hearing me, Lilia?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, good. Okay, so it's kind of rigid in the way that it tells you to like do these intervals. What I prefer is a much more intuitive version of that. So like you're not going to be running through your knee pain. We're going to, you know, like kind of, it's kind of hard to say what the issue is if just somebody saying I've got knee pain. We'd have to have a look at it. But
I know.
But like don't run through the knee pain. Walk a bit more. Do the walk run practice, but be more intuitive. Listen to your body. Maybe walk a little bit longer. Do some do some light dynamic stretching, because it could be something. It's probably something in the hips is a bit tight. So your hip flexors are maybe a bit tight if you sit a lot. It could be that the glutes are not firing properly. So I'm doing some glute activation exercises. Again, this is all stuff that we'll cover at the weekend in more detail, because you want to make sure you hit the right areas. But yeah, then the knee pain then might go, because it could be multiple things. It could be multiple things, and it probably is a combination of a few things, like tight quads, tight hip flexors, short hip flexors, inactive glutes, ankle range of motion could potentially, it's
impossible to say, Janice, exactly what's causing the pain. But yeah, that would certainly sound, just tune in and walk, run, rather than kind of running through the pain. I think Chris is frozen here now.
I'll move the camera to the... Is that better? Wait a minute, I've got more signal here. I've just moved it.
Right, okay.
Is that better now?
Yep.
Yeah, I've got 4 bars now. So did you catch everything I said about the walk run, Lilia? Yeah.
Well, it was basically just be a bit more intuitive and don't run through the pain, walk through it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yeah. And the interesting thing with, like, depending on the severity of the pain and everything, like we don't want to make it any worse. But sometimes just stopping and doing nothing actually makes things worse. So, like, if you think about, I like the motto, we rest, we rot. So we need to, it's probably, it's like, it's a strength, it's going to be a strength issue and probably a mobility issue, maybe some range of motion. So there's a couple of things there we could look at. But it's a tricky balance, because we don't want to just stop doing anything, because then what happens is the body tends to go into like an overprotective mode. Like, oh, something wasn't right about that movement there, which it should be okay. So the body goes into protective mode, and like then the issue can become worse, and then over time you might even have pain when you're just walking. So we want to make sure that you can run without pain, and we should be able to all do that. Little niggles and stuff, if you're running a lot, are going to come and go, and we have to work around them and work through them, but we shouldn't be getting ourselves into places where we're injured and we can't run. Yeah. So I hope that helps a little bit.
That makes complete sense. So that's fantastic. So it starts on Friday at 4. Is that right?
Yes. I might delay the opening ceremony just slightly, because I think the bus gets in at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
So what I'll do is we'll just do like a relaxed social start. People can get in. They can.
People are welcome to be here at 4, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just get yourself settled in and stuff, and then maybe we'll figure something out. Maybe we'll have once everybody's there together, we'll do like a little bit of an opening thing, do some movement, unwind from any sitting we've been doing, and it'll just be a pretty chilled first night, and then Saturday, Sunday we're going to be full on, but it's going to be, like I say, full on, but I'm very aware that I want people to actually enjoy the weekend. So one of the key things I do on all the retreats that I've ran actually is on the first night we'll have a chat together and see what everybody wants to get from the weekend. So instead of me just being like, I've got this idea in my head of what I want to do and teach you all, but it's like, what do you want to get from it? Okay, and we'll gauge what everybody's at. So whether everybody's like, running couch to 5K, I'd imagine there'll be quite a few people there that are in that area. I know that there's a couple of people that are, they've been running for quite a long time, but maybe are just a little bit out of practice, and they just have a few niggles and injuries and stuff that we need to work through. So I know, we've got a few in that kind of boat, and then we might have, I'm trying to think of who I know that's coming. I think we've got at least one person who was more of an elite athlete at one point actually, and is not anymore. So we'll have a different range there, and we'll look at what the best kind of setup is for everybody.
And you'll have me.
Yeah, and you've done it before. I've seen you run it before, Lilia. So you've got it nailed. I'm
looking forward to getting back into it. Because I've my cardio I've just completely ignored for far too long, and I thought, why would you not, especially being up here when I can just run up these lovely wee paths,
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, listen, that's fantastic. So anybody listening that is interested, a phenomenal deal. And also this 3-month free membership into Chrissy's group, which has got 4 or 5 classes a week. That's a phenomenal opportunity for you. And it's a great time of year to really start. Nights are getting lighter. Life's going to get a bit brighter and easier, hopefully. And if you have been struggling with your health, it's such a free and you can really monitor and, you know, use it exactly how and when you need it. So fantastic, Chris. It's great to see you, and I look forward to meeting Bodie as well.
Oh yeah, he's looking forward to it. He's been really good actually traveling. We weren't sure what he was going to be like, but yeah, we're just breaking it up and just taking our time in the van here. So
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So get
just to mention, sorry, Lilia, just to mention about the live. So it'll be Wednesday at 1 o'clock if you want to do that.
Yes, definitely. You send me all the details. I'll put it on the page.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, that'll be good. Get some people a bit of a taster.
Hope to see you in Sky, people. Please come along and learn this really powerful, simple, and fun technique. I hope to see you here. Bye, everyone. Have a lovely Sunday.